welcome to Craft with Sarah. It's time for another Easter paper craft, and this time we're doing layered Easter eggs to hang onto a lovely little spring tree. There are several different Easter egg designs included in the download, which can be found in the description below this video, or check out craftwithsarah.com/free-SVGs. Let's see how to make these gorgeous little Easter egg decorations. The download comes in a zip folder, and you need to unzip this before you can upload the files into Cricut Design Space. Open up Cricut Design Space and start a new project. Go into Upload on the left, and you can see I've already uploaded my first 4 eggs, but I'll show you how to do it with the last one. Press Upload Image, and then you can either browse to find the unzipped version of the folder on your computer, or you can drag and drop the files in, which is what I'm going to do. This is what the folder looks like when you've unzipped it, and then there's separate folders inside here for each of the different eggs. I need egg 5, so I'm going to double click into there, and then the files come in 3 different versions. For Design Space, you need the one which starts SVG in the file name. So I'm going to click and drag that in, and then it should show like this with all of the layers one on top of the other. If yours looks different and you've got the layers next to each other instead, that means you've accidentally uploaded the wrong file type. So if that's the case, click Cancel down on the bottom and try again, and make sure you choose the one which starts SVG. This is looking good, so I'll press Upload. And now this egg is in my recent uploads, so I can click all 5 of these eggs. Of course, if you didn't want to use all of the designs, you don't have to select them all, but I'm going to. So here's my 5, and then press Add to Canvas. It might take a little while because it is loading in 5 separate designs. But here they are, so if I click and drag them about, these are all quite big at the moment, so I want to make them smaller. I'm going to click them one at a time, and then in the width and height boxes, make sure the padlock icon is closed. If yours is open, then click on it to close it. And then I'm going to make my eggs 3.5 inches tall. So I've typed 3.5 into the height box, press enter, and then the width will change in proportion. I like how it looks when all of the eggs are the same height. So I'm going to go through all of them and make them 3.5. Don't worry that the eggs look really small. If you want to make them appear bigger, you can just zoom in so they're easier to see. But these are all looking nice now. If you want to make double-sided decorations so that if they move in the breeze in the room, you can see the back decorated as well as the front, you can do that really easily. I'll show you that in a moment, but first I'm just going to check the colors by pressing Color Sync on the top right. So by default, you can see this is going to need lots of different colors, and some of them are quite similar. To make it easier to cut this out with less colors of card, you can click and drag the layers onto a different similar color to change it. So now my chick will be the same yellow that's used in this design and also this design. So I'm going to go through and just put some of these colors together. And then that's probably about right now. So I'm happy with how that's looking. But of course you can change it to whatever colors you want. And if you want it to be different colors, click back to layers, press the layer that you want to change the color of. And then in this little box, you can change it to whatever you want it to be. When you're happy with the colors, we can start duplicating the eggs if you want to have more of them or if you want to double side them. To double side them, click the design and then press duplicate. Now because these eggs are not always perfectly symmetrical on both sides, to make sure it lines up when you stick them back to back, go into Flip and choose Flip Horizontal. And now when you stick this egg back to back, the edges will line up perfectly. To show you again, I'll click this heart one, press duplicate to make a copy, then go into Flip and Flip Horizontal. The change was only very slight, but there was still a change, so it is important to make sure you flip them. I'm actually not going to double side my ornaments, so I'm going to delete those, but I will make 2 of each one so that my tree has lots of different eggs all over it. An easy way to do that is to drag a box around everything and then press duplicate, and it will do it all in one go. And because I'm going to be hanging these in separate places and not double-siding them, I don't actually need to flip them. When you're happy with how everything's looking, press Make It, and then that will split out all of the different colours. You can change the paper size by using the drop downs on the left, and for some of them, you might want to move them about on the page to use up less bits of your cardstock. These little eggs are great for using up your card scraps because some of them need just tiny little pieces. So for example, for this, I could probably find a little piece of green left over from something else and use that rather than cutting into a brand new sheet of card. When you're happy with how everything's looking, press continue and that will connect to your Cricut machine, and then you can go ahead and get everything cut out from cardstock. Here are all of my eggs cut out and ready to be stuck together. I've placed the layers one on top of each other just to check that I'm happy with the colours and to make sure that I haven't missed anything out. I'm going to use a combination of 3D foam squares and glue to stick these together. Now, as I said, I'm only doing one-sided decorations, but if you're double-siding, then you'll have 2 copies of each of the eggs and the chick to stick back to back. The glue I'm using is called Kalal. I really like this because it doesn't bend or warp the cardstock like some other glues can do. And to make it easier to fit in all the tiny places, I put it into these needle tip applicator bottles. These are amazing because the tips are so thin that it makes it super easy to get glue along all of these shapes without making any mess. The foam squares that I'll be using to add some depth and a 3D effect are from Dot & Dab, but any foam squares will do. If yours are big, you might need to cut them smaller with scissors so that they'll fit into the little spaces in the eggs. And actually, even though mine are tiny, I am still going to need to cut them probably. So, which little egg shall I start with first? I think because it's all on its own, I will do the chick one first, but I will show you how to stick them all together. So this little chick is made up of 4 layers. There we go. Let's just move it a bit so you can actually see. This one is my bottom layer, and then this one will be stuck on first. And I'm going to use my foam pads. So let's turn this layer over, and here's a sheet of foam squares that I've already started using. I'm going to add some of these on the back. You want to make sure you add enough that you're going to get a really firm stick and it's not going to fall off, especially because these are going to be hanging, and they'll be hanging by ribbon, which means that they'll move about a little bit in the natural breeze in the room. So we just need to make sure it's got a good stick. And then line it up and push down. Next we have the base of the egg, and again I'm going to add my foam squares to the back. If you didn't want to make dimensional ornaments, you could glue every single layer, but I like having the 3D effect, as not only do I think it gives it a little bit more interest, but it makes the ornaments heavier because of all that foam, so they hang nicer on the tree. Finally, we've got the detail layer for the egg, and this one I'm going to glue as it's a little bit narrow for the foam. So again, turn it upside down, and this is where the needle tip bottles really come in handy because I can just go around that outside really quickly. If this layer is a little bit fiddly, you could leave it off. It does still look lovely just with those ones. I'm just going to dab that on there. Alright, so that's the first one done. This would be all ready to add the ribbon to. Let's go on to this one next, and this is made up of 3 layers. So to make sure there's some dimension, this one will be the one for the foam. Quite small foam pads, so I can fit them in there, but really I also want some inside this diagonal line, otherwise it's not going to be very sturdy and it might sag along this section. If you can hear music in the background, it's actually church bells. I am in my new office and it's in the countryside, and I didn't actually know that I was near a church, but church bells have been going off for about half an hour now, so yeah, apparently I am near a church. I'm wondering if maybe someone's getting married or something. Alright, so that's just a few little teeny tiny pieces in there to give it some more stability. Stick this one on. And then for this outer one, because this is quite narrow all the way around, I'm going to glue it. And that's going to be the same for all of the eggs. The outside top layer, which is just the edging, I will be gluing them. Alright, so line that one up. Oops. The nice thing about glue is you've got that wiggle room if you need to line it up. And there's number 2 done. So let's move on to number 3. Alright, this one is just 3 layers. This one doesn't have just the outline on the top. And I'm actually going to use foam for all of this. This one will be much easier because it's got more solid spaces. Be careful you don't do what I just did. I just bent it there along that thin bit. Did you see? I'm sure it won't notice when it's hung up. Okay, there's that one. And then this one I'm also going to use foam for. And it's narrow, so I can fit a few of these bigger bits in. You want to make sure your foam doesn't go over any of the edges, otherwise you'll see it. So I'm going to need some of those tiny bits that I've cut smaller to go in the other swirls. And again, like I said, you can glue this if it's easier. I know these are quite fiddly, especially as I've made them fairly small. The bigger you make them, the easier it will be to get all that foam in. Okay, so let's line up these swirls. There we are, egg number 3 done. Next, I'll do the heart one, and this is 3 layers. And this one will be my only foam one. I've got some nice big areas for the foam to go in. So I don't need to use my cut pieces. Then I'll line this one up. Oops, didn't do that very well. That's better. And then this one I will glue a little bit around that edge. Which of these eggs is your favourite? Let me know in the comments. My favourite is actually the one that we'll be making last. And there's that one. So now I can move on to my favourite, which is this one. And I just like all the colours in this one, and it's also got a lot of layers on, which is nice. Okay, so this one, turn upside down, and we're going to foam it. Top bit nice and easy. The bottom bit, not so much. I'm going to need those cut pieces for this. I just stuck it to my fingers. Boom. And then this one, I think you could probably do either. You can either glue it or foam it, but I like a challenge, so I'm going to add some foam. And this is super narrow everywhere, so I'm going to need these tiny bits. Now I've run out of smaller pieces, so I'm just going to cut some more. And you see just how easy a pair of scissors will just go through them. And now I can stick this. Ooh, got a little bit of fluff. Stick this on, trying to line up the pattern. There, one more, which is the outline, and this one will be a glue layer. I forgot to just put the lid back on my glue, so that was silly, but luckily it still seems to be okay. It does dry out quite quick, so put those lids on. Alright, there we go. Egg number 5 finished. So if So I bring these all back in so you can see a little bit better. These are our 5 separate Easter egg designs, and if you did double-side it, then you'll have 2 of each, and then all you need to do is just glue them back to back, and then it will be double-sided. Obviously you'd use the same design so that it'll actually be the same size, because all of these are slightly different. I was just kind of trying to show you. Alright, so all that's left to do is that when all this glue is really dry, thread some ribbon or twine or anything like that through the little holes, and if you wanted to, you could even tie a little bow on the front, and then we can put them on our tree. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to make layered Easter egg decorations. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Easter and Cricut craft tutorials. Thank you for watching. Bye!